Kia ora, good morning. You just have to give me a sec because I've only been awake a couple of minutes. My God, I passed out early last night. I slept like the dead. Oh my Lord. Oh, so remember, if I go quiet, it's because I'm having a sip of my coffee. I don't know what's going on with me at the moment, but I'm going through quite the transformation. I feel so at peace. I know I always say, oh, I'm at peace and blah, 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 but I, I, I feel like I'm flying, and I don't mean like high or stoned, or like I literally feel like I'm like a hot air balloon or a balloon, and my soul is rising, my spirit is rising. Classic totem phoenix, classic phoenix moment, phoenix rising up and above. I think because I brought myself closure, standing up for myself, bringing myself closure has, I must have needed to speak my mind. I must have needed to speak what was in me to get it out so that I could let it all go and emotionally detach so that I could rise. And now I'm in that rising phase. And I had a dream that Otesha, my owl, came to me. And I was walking through a meadow. I saw her on a fence post and she flew and landed on my shoulder. And she spoke, now for the next bit. And that was it. And that's all I remember. And I woke up. Now, ordinarily, if you have a dream that an animal's talking to you, it means that you've had something to eat too close to going to sleep, which I didn't. I'm still in keto. I haven't broken keto yet. I had an early dinner around 3, 4 o'clock yesterday, about 4ish yesterday afternoon, and I haven't eaten since, so I'm still in ketosis because it helps me keep my weight down. I haven't broken my keto fast. So yeah, now for the next bit. Now the thing is, our totem, every Indigenous person, whether you're First Nations, Polynesian, Irish, whatever, every Indigenous nation who has owls, honour them, because owls are very, 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 very powerful totems to have. And they don't just mean, wisdom and stealth and observation and, they're the teachers and blah, blah, blah. For people like myself who are Indigenous, who are like medicine men and women, shamans, that sort of thing, they are your gift of fast sensing. They're the ones they're your second pair of eyes. They have your back, because their heads can turn. They've got your back. They see 360 around you with their eyes. Their eyes are always looking around you at a 360-degree angle. But because they're the veil between life and death, between the here and now, and between the present and the future, and even the present and the past, because they have that 360-degree power, they let you know what's coming from all angles. Now for the next bit. So it's like she was saying, right, you've done that, you've brought closure, you've spoken your mind, and that can be, see, birds as well. For Indigenous people, birds are seen as either the voice of God or God. And birds like eagles, falcons, owls, because, you know, when you hear them, you know they're there. It's like they're the totem of needing to get stuff out that you've been holding in, getting it out, or spreading the message. Like with eagles, it's talking about, sorry, with eagles, it's like it's judgment. It's when I'm speaking my mind, I'm telling the truth. I am God, I'm speaking the mind, I'm telling the truth, I'm telling you what I'm seeing, and this needs to be heard. That's eagle. The more powerful God that there is in religion or mythology is usually represented by an eagle or a falcon, that sort of thing. With owls, when owls speak, it's like I'm speaking my wisdom. I'm teaching you a lesson. I know what's coming. It's why a lot of seers and sages will have owls, because seers and sages are all about wisdom and knowledge, and using that wisdom and knowledge based on things that they see coming because of past experience. And I got Otesha in a dream that I had. I think it was that I called the Dark One, where I had the dream where Brother Seraphael came down to get Luca, to say to Luca, you can't rest, the wolf, you can't rest yet, because there's one, we've got to take the Dark One to the other side, to the underworld. And it was Otesha, I think. I think it was that dream where I met Otesha. And then when I got locked up, I wrote her into, with a little help from my friends, because it's Otesha and Barnaby the deer who stays alongside Lewis while he's going through the Kelly Forest to help the Council of Elders protect the Grandmother Tree from the invading Jeb the Goblin King and the Shadowlands. Lewis is an Indigenous boy in the book. He's based on two First Nations boys that I had encounters with on my blog, and my nephew Perinu, and dealing with racism, because that's what I was dealing with when I was locked up, racism. So Lewis is going to be in the movie Miss Amber's School of Alchemy. He's going to be one of the boys. We'll have Roisin and we'll have Lewis. So Roisin's going to be an Irish actress. Lewis is going to be First Nations. So I need to find a First Nations actor to play the role of Lewis. It will really help if he's an artist too, because that's what Lewis ends up being, because my nephew Perinu is, he's an artist. He's a tagger, street art and that. He's absolutely phenomenal. So, and that's what she said. And then for some reason, when I was making my coffee, lighting my incense, lighting my oil, which I do every morning without fail, I remembered that experience I had in Glasgow. And it was either the end of 2012 or beginning of 2013. But we were in Glasgow in East Kilbride, and we were just about to move to Yorkshire, because my ex had lost his job again. Oh no, he hadn't lost his job again. He was scared he was going to lose his job again, so he applied for this job in Yorkshire and got it at Team 17. And I was in bed reading a book. He was fast asleep. I was having a cup of tea. I've talked about this extensively because I never forgot it, because I've spent years, 13 years, trying to figure out what the hell my dad was talking about. And in not in the dream, what happened was I was sitting there and I felt my body I wonder if what I'm feeling now is what happened back in 2013, because I felt my body rising. and I know I was awake. Like, I remember everything from start to finish. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. The boys were asleep. My ex was asleep. I was reading a book. I had a cup of tea beside me, and I was cozy sitting up in bed reading this book, and I felt like, my stomach, I felt like it was being pulled and lifted, and I could not control it. I called it later on the ascending man, and I put it in my Spirits in the Paranormal graphic that Chris did. It was always in my graphics, the ascending man. I even used it for one of the thumbnails in one of my live videos where you see this body rising limp. And then when I had my Mayan temple dream, I also, when I stepped into the gold, my body was the exact same way. It was ascending, but it was limp because I had no control over it. When you see Homer getting lifted up in the spacecraft by the aliens and his body's all limp and he's being pulled by his stomach, but his head and legs and arms and all that are limp, and then they can't lift him because he's so fat. I think they've put 2 beams on him. Well, they're lifting him. But I was being lifted like that. I even remember the sensation of my heels on the back of my feet lifting up off the bed, and thinking, I wasn't scared, but I was like, what the hell's going on, sort of thing, but I wasn't scared. And then I just remember, this is starting to freak me out a little now, as I was landing, I saw my sister Erin floating away. And then I landed at my dad. I landed right in front of my dad, but he was dressed like a, the Egyptians you see on the hieroglyphics with the black wigs, and they had no shirt, but they'd wear those big, like, necklaces, and the white skirt things that the Egyptians would wear on the hieroglyphs. He was dressed just like that. Had the eyeliner on and everything. My dad is the Arab, as you know. He's my Persian Arab bloodline. His mother was born in Syria, but they had to flee Egypt. But we can trace our roots back to Iran and Yemen and Jordan and all of that. So my Arab blood runs deep. And all he did was he pointed, and when I looked to see where he was pointing, it was this old Victorian movie theatre with big, thick red and gold curtains, with the old movie theatre seats that had like the metal frames where, when the seats came up, they made that sound, and they were velvet, red velvet. The curtains were red velvet. There were pot plants along the wall. It was all very sort of Victorian-y, sort of early, when movie theatres and that first came out, they gave over a lot of their actual theatres to the movie theatres. So they never changed the seats or anything like that. It was like that. And it's exactly how I want my movie theatre to be at Fire. When I was growing up in Levin, it was exactly the same. We'd go to the movies and those seats, it looked exactly like that. They hadn't changed it from the days when it used to be when you went to the theatre and saw performances, and they'd just pull the curtain back and there'd be the screen to watch the movie, or they'd put the curtain there and then they'd do, like, perform their bits on stage. Just like that. That's what Fire's going to be like. And when I went into the movie theatre, these end credits were playing and scrolling, like I'd just caught the end of the movie and it was the end credits, but they were scrolling real fast and it was blurry and I couldn't read what it was saying. And I have spent from that time until this time trying to figure out what the hell that dream was about. My dad died in 98. This was 2013 when I had the dream. I just met Martin. I had just started my blog. And I knew that what he was pointing to had something to do with this role I was stepping into. And so I think Otesha coming to me in this dream was saying, like, okay, you've done that now. You've said and done everything you had to do regarding this experience that you had back in Glasgow, like it was all one big massive 13-year cycle. Now that that's done, move to the next bit. And I'm realising that what he was pointing to on the screen was Miss Amber's School of Alchemy. Because of how important it was. One of the things that my dad had on his necklace was the scarab beetle, which is the totem of death. When you see the scarab beetle, it means death is calling. And then the other day I just mentioned, I just briefly passed out and I saw Ursula von der Leyen getting her head shaved like it was the Holocaust. She was a prisoner in the same sort of striped thing. She was getting her head shaved, forced head shave. And then I saw Donald Trump's death mask. Now, I'm not saying anything. This isn't a dream about them or anything like that, but the Dark One coming to take the Dark One. Jeb the Goblin King dies. The Slime Queen tries to take over and then gets turned to stone and defeated, and the Shadowlands have to withdraw, and then peace reigns over the kingdoms. That's how it's written. That's so our totem. To see that stuff and then it's witnessing it happen, that's our totem. Because they see beyond the realms of the psychic sciences. They give you second sight. So when you see the demon dogs, and the demon dogs are to prepare you for the fact that you've been chosen to go through an ascension process, once you've finished your ascension, you're then given those red eyes. Red Eyes Tell No Lies, the storybook that I wrote for the kids. And those red eyes are our totem. And my totem is Otesha. She told me her name in the dream, Otesha. And it's a Swahili name. And I always said that her character, when I wrote her into, with a little help from my friends, because she's helping Lewis, I always heard her voice being of a mature African woman. So whoever does Otesha's voice, I want in any of my stories in that, I want her to be an African woman. And then, because as I'm making my coffee, I'm thinking, well, God, I'm bringing all these people in from all over the world to help me make this movie, to help me make these movies and games, but especially with Miss Amber's School of Alchemy. I want them from all over the world, from New Zealand and Ireland and, First Nations and all that. And then I was thinking, well, that's the prophecy, bringing the four corners of the globe together in harmony to help spread world peace. And that it's Indigenous people showing the world how to heal from the reign of terror that we've been under since the 80s. And I thought that's what my dad was pointing at. He was pointing to the end credits of all my movies and Miss Amber's School of Alchemy. So when I had that dream, my dad was Otesha, and my dad knew that Amber was going to die back in 2013, and that I was going to turn her death into something that was going to bring nations from all over the world together in order to tell this story, to memorialise Amber. And me seeing my sister Erin, her feet rising as I was landing, when I woke up, I literally just spoke to her. She had messages. She'd left me messages on WhatsApp and Instagram, and I was checking them. And then I got up to get my day ready. So my dad was letting me know that Miss Amber's School of Alchemy is going to be something quite big, and I need to get ready. I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to take part in this movie. A lot of people are going to want to invest, even though once I get justice, I'll be able to afford to make it on my own. And I think this movie's going to be huge. I think it's going to put Harry Potter in the distance because of the fact that we're going to be bringing the ninth element to life, the resurrection of the dead, in order to help them cross over. In writing this storyline, I'm realising anyone who's watching it who's grieving, they're going to find healing and understanding, especially with parents. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give Amber in the starting of the movie, you know, when Amber's going through that battle with Abizu, she's going to have Otesha. Otesha's going to be hers. But then after Amber's sacrificed, Otesha's in the modern day. The school then looks after Otesha. And it's probably why I saw the start scene being set around the early 1900s. Because that's the movie theatre, was it like, that's what it looked like. Around the times that they would have been having theatres, not necessarily movie, but having theatres at the time when Carnarvon and that were digging up Tutankhamun and all of that. It was around that time. Ashley Richardson and all that. It was around all that time. And I just had this urge to set the start of that movie around that time period. And I'm realising that's what my dad was letting me know back in 2013. The frog dream that I had, frogs, you know, change and transformation, the rain coming down, the frog being stuck to the window on the outside looking in with all the rain coming down, and me stroking it saying, there, it's okay. That's all me. It was me being told, get ready for an emotional outburst, but that it's going to be healing. Don't worry, he's coming back. My dad. So that dream was letting me know that through that emotional cleansing, a change and transformation was about to take place that's going to completely transform my life. And it was that very day that I came up with the idea to do Miss Amber's School of Alchemy, to take on Harry Potter. And ever since then, man, I can't explain it. I didn't see the Jesus taking the wheel and heading me towards America again. Something's coming. I'm telling you now, something's coming where I'm going to end up back in America. And I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to make the movie there. Do it in South Dakota, but try and film it in Salem. Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be Salem, but definitely New England. I was been watching all of these New England videos and that, and there's so many stories based on historical events, eyewitness events, people having encounters and that I'm going to be able to pluck from it and put into the movie. And I took some recorded notes last night of some characters and storylines and some of the scenes. I was recording scenes on my phone and characters and all of that. And I'm going to need a couple of first First Nations actors, and whoever does the voice of Otesha is going to have to be, I want her to be African. I've always, every time I hear her voice in my head. She's a very soft-spoken, matronly African woman. I don't necessarily know if we'll be, I mean, we may have to work with a real owl, so we're going to have like a falconer come in, with an owl that can, when we have to do flying shots and that sort of thing. But I know that she's going to be an immortal owl because obviously totem animals they never die. But for the talking parts, we'll need to maybe have like a robotic owl. Not necessarily. She could just look and, hear the voice. Her mouth doesn't have to necessarily be going, but I'll have to get a falconer who has a owl and falcons and all of that, because they're gonna have roles in the movie. So Otesha's another character in the movie, and my dad was letting me know that this movie's important. And Otesha's saying, get ready, now for the next bit. Now you've done that, now for the next bit. Because this was all at the start of, I just met my ex-best friend, I just met Martin, started writing to Martin. Then we moved to Yorkshire, and then it was not long after that I just started my blog. I just started writing to Martin. I just met my ex-best friend. And these were all, it was me starting my blog where I met all the students and that. And making my trips to America and making my shows and developing my science and working on my idea for the Art of Creation School in inner city New York and that. So that period in my life was the start of everything. But the frog dream with the change and transformation and everything that's happened over the last couple of days, but now that's died. I said what I had to say. I spoke my mind. I spoke what had blocked me. Like in Spirited Away, when they're spitting out the black gunk, they eat the offering, and it's greed. I think it's symbolic of greed. They spit it out, and it's that black gunk. The pearl. I spat it out. The toxic. Or what was holding me back. What I was too afraid to get out. I got it all out. I've spent the last few months just getting it all out. To bring closure, to shut the door, so that I could rise above it and go to the next bit. Because these are all the people that are in America. The ones that did all the damage, most of them are in America. And it's like, by me speaking up and speaking out, it's brought me justice somehow. And now God is taking me up and away from it. Remember, Jesus taking the wheel, taking me to higher ground, to take me to where I need to go, So I think God is about to make it possible for me to get to America. He needs me in America to make this movie. I could still be living in Switzerland. I could still be heading to Switzerland. But this movie needs to be made in America. And I'm going to have to find actors and actresses from all over the world to play these 8 kids. Oh, I know I'll be able to find an African actress in America. I know I'll find First Nations actors in America, but I'll need to find a Irish actress, a Kiwi actress, maybe even a Swiss actor or actress because of Mountain High. That's what the end credits were. Take the actors, take the kids from all the other movies you're making, and bring them together in America to make this movie. That's why there were so many credits and it was scrolling so fast, because it wasn't just the Amber Rose School of Alchemy end credits. It was also the end credits to Becoming Spellbound and Mountain High and War Babies. And so on and so forth, with a little help from my friends. So it's like there's this magnetic pull of the atoms of time that have been scattered out in the universe since my sister died. It's like everything got blown apart with the betrayals of the people from my past, and everything that I created off of that is now coming back in, being magnetically drawn back together to create one diamond, one gem, one, I won't say pearl because we don't do pearls in my, pearls aren't a good thing. One diamond, one gem. And it's going to bring the four corners of the globe together. And this movie's going to help people heal. And now I understand the ancient prophecy. The woman from the islands, the girl from the islands in bare feet, she said, bringing the four corners of the globe together to bring peace, using the marriage of science and religion to create a new faith that was going to be taught in schools. That the prophecy was that religion, like God, people's understanding of God and physics would come together in a coupling, because usually science and religion, they clash, they don't go. Most scientists don't believe in God. God and religious people certainly don't believe in science. Like Catholics especially, the idea of being able to talk to the dead, like you're demonic. If you have the gifts that my family and I have, you are demonic. That's why we were raised where our parents said, you can say and do what you like in the house, but the second you walk out that door, nobody is to know who we are. Nobody's to know what we are, because they were Catholic. My parents were Catholic, and they didn't want, back in those days, if you were seen to be what I was, you were considered like demonic. But in the house, we were all practical magic. But outside of the house, we were just a normal dysfunctional Catholic family. But in not saying anything and not speaking up, we can't save lives and we can't bring healing to people. And so I was chosen in my family to be the one to be brave enough to speak out, and the consequences of which got me locked up and almost murdered. I was almost murdered, poisoned. I've been poisoned 4 times from people trying to shut me up because they didn't want my knowledge of indigenous sciences, to tell the world what was coming. Otesha. And what I was saying was, yes, we're going to have wars. Yes, we're going to have tyrannical leaders, but it needs to happen so that it can never happen again, and this is what's coming as a result. And so they tried to kill me for it. And that's why my parents didn't want us kids telling the world what we were and who we were. It's why From the second I started putting my blog out, I was being watched by the CIA and Hillary Clinton and that, and I know that for a fact because my military boys told me, you're on the watch list, eh? And I'm like, yep. You've been watched by Russia, you've been watched by China, America, Great Britain, Israel, blah, blah, blah. You're on the watch list. Yep. Yeah, I know. So that was my trial by fire. Even though you're being watched, even though you've got people monitoring your phone, even though you've got people trying to do this and trying to sabotage you and blah, 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 how much do you want to save children? Are you prepared to walk through that fire? Yep. Yes, I am. Are you prepared to let go of everyone and everything that you love dearly? Yep. Yes, I am. Because if they truly loved me, they'd be by my side. That's my sister Erin. She might not understand it, but she'd take a bullet for me, that girl. She stood up to every member of my family. She threatened those doctors. Give her phone back or I'm getting my lawyers involved. You can't do that. You're violating her rights. Yada, blah, blah, blah. She fought those doctors to defend her little sister, her feet rising from the dream. That's why I'm going to retire her and buy her dream life, her tangi whare for the terminally ill, palliative care business. That's what I'm going to buy her. So I'm going to retire her and she can shop for a living and help me dress and run this company of hers. So that's why her feet were rising in the dream. And I've finally figured out what that dream meant this morning. And I can't even put into words how I feel anymore. I'm not like in shock in a kind of way. I'm bewildered, kind of stunned, like what the hell just happened? I've literally gone through some kind of transmorphic, energetic, bioenergetic transmorphosis in the last couple of days I didn't see coming, simply because I got everything that was in me out. I finally spoke what I'd been holding on to. And now I can shut the door. It's brought closure. Now I can shut the door and focus on this movie. If all I'm being asked to do is make this movie in America, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I can still live in Switzerland. Because I think what I'm going to be doing at the foundation is I think I'm going to be making movies in different countries all around the world. We're going to have to film in New Zealand. We're going to have to film in Crimea if Laddie will let me. We're going to have to film in Ireland. We're going to have to film in Switzerland. Like all these movies that I've written are focused on all different parts of the world, where we're going to be bringing actors and kids and all of that in from those countries to help me make them. And that's the prophecy, the four corners of the globe together, to bring peace and harmony and teaching the world a new way of seeing God and science, the supernatural. So the supernatural sciences are going to be taught in schools, and the supernatural is faith and physics, and that was the prophecy. And the way to teach that, it started with the porcelain rabbit, but it ends with Miss Amber's School of Alchemy. Everything, if you knew what the parts of the scripts that I was writing, that I was speaking into yesterday, this movie's going to explain it all. And for the first lot of people that sit and watch that movie for the first time on my streaming service and in that theatre when we play it, because I need the two to go out to happen at the same time, which was what I was hoping to do with Vanta Black, perform it, and then the next year perform it again in countries all around the world, but perform it at the exact same time. But I wanted the second recording, the second production of it, to be at the pyramids of Giza. However, that's impractical. I realise that now, but I can do the exact same. What I'm wanting, what I was wanting from that, I can do the exact same thing in this movie. All I need to do is set up my streaming service and my movie theatre, and make sure that the two go out at the exact same time. There'll be a countdown, and then the curtains will pull back and we'll play the movie at the same time as the streaming service unblocks, like Premiere. You know how, like with YouTube, how you can preset your videos to start at a set time? We'll make sure that the countdown, 10, 9, and then 1, the curtains will pull back, or, the start of the movie on the streaming service, and then the first people in the world to watch the two together will end up resurrecting the dead and helping them cross over. And I'm the only person in the world that has the ability to do it. So when we film the scenes at Normandy, when I go around and make my shows and I can put my clay everywhere, my tane clay and my rehua spray and all that, because they're going to be recorded and put into the Amber Wilkinson School of Alchemy, the second we hit play, that clay and those sprays are going to trigger the release of all the trapped souls in real life. Cleansing and crossing over all the trapped souls that were sent to war, executed for witchcraft, murdered, all of it. The crossing over the trapped souls of the pure and innocent. How cool is that? And that's the prophecy, using science and religion to introduce a new understanding of life and death and faith and all of it, the supernatural. And that's me, baby. I keep saying the supernatural is cooler than the paranormal. Supernatural is powerful. And I'm all about the power, baby. Whereas the paranormal is all about mental illness and grief and suffering and all the dark, heavy, black stuff. I feel amazing. I can't even put it into words. I don't even feel like my feet are touching the ground. I'm on a natural high. I must be on a dopamine high because of this release that I've just had. I feel so calm, but I feel excited. I feel happy. I'm at peace. I feel elated. I'm elevating. And I can feel it. Which is the frog dream, the sad frog dream. I was the sad frog, grieving for my girl. Grieving for the past. I think basically I must have let my wounded inner child have a good cry. So Otesha is going to be Amber's owl in the movie, and I'll have a big scene with her at the start, and then she'll be the owl throughout the rest of the movie, and it'll be the school that looks after her. I was thinking it'd be really nice to have her be friends with Jacques. So I wrote this scene in where he's been tucked into bed by his mama, Medusa, and he's got his little teddy bear. And he's been tucked in, and she's reading him a story, and because she loves her Jacques. And he's got his little teddy bear, Mama, Mama. Oh, I just love him so much. I think he's just going to be one of my favourite characters in the movie. But I came up with other characters last night, but yeah. So this movie's going to be huge. Huge. I didn't realise, like, it's like now it all finally makes sense. Like, now I get it. Now I get it. I get it now. I finally get it. The whole experience. They were my coyote. They were all coyotes. I was surrounded by a pack of coyotes. But they didn't tempt my fate. They helped me choose my destiny. And so this movie is going to be made in America. But it can only be made in America when they're gone. When they're removed from the picture so that it's safe. Because these people, they can't be trusted around children. I don't want to take them anywhere near, because we'll have to film bits in like North Carolina and New England and even Wisconsin and all that, like, because there's things that I've written into this movie that are based on things that I experienced when I was in those states that I want to put in the movie. They might only be, like a few seconds of a shot, but we're still going to need to film there. And I don't want these people aren't safe for it. Like, I don't want their energy field anywhere near what it is that I'm creating. Biorhythmically, everything has to be pure. And if I'm in that state filming, knowing that I could be driving past them in a store or something like that, then energetically it's going to mess with the biorhythms. So because I got called to investigate a place when I was in North Carolina. It was a plantation. My friend Priscilla had contacted me and said, there's these people I know that need your help. The house is haunted. I'll take you out there. We'll record it, blah, blah, blah. She's got the recording. Knowing her, she'll still have the recording. And she took me out there, and when I was getting ready, I said to her, I keep seeing people falling from the sky. And I can't understand. I said, and I keep seeing slaves. And then, of course, when we got out there and saw the plantation, saw it was a plantation, I got in, I walked around, did what I was doing, said everything I was seeing, and we got to the master of the house's office. And they said to me, you know how you said you were seeing people falling from the sky? There's a bit of the Hindenburg there on the wall. The man had it was like a nut or a bolt, or it was a piece of metal in a glass case from the Hindenburg. And Priscilla and I were just freaked out, so I did everything I had to do. And then when I was walking around outside, that's when his name was George. The slave man came up to me, because the house was an underground slave train. They helped. I saw this German woman standing on the steps, and she was hiding slaves, helping free the slaves. They were hiding on her land, like, the slave train sort of thing. And the slaves being hunted by men with dogs and men on horses, and them hiding in the water because there was like a lake, a river, lake estuary thing behind the house, and them hiding in the water so that the dog couldn't pick up their scent. And when I was walking around the ground and I was being shown like where the this old shed house thing was, this man came up and he said his name was George, and he said, "Can I ask you something?" And I said, "What?" And he said, "Why did they do it to us? What did we do wrong?" Like, these slaves couldn't understand why they were slaves. And I said, because some people are just evil like that. Some people are just evil. And I was saying to him, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I said, but I promise you it gets better. I said, I promise you, I'm getting goosebumps, that it gets better, that you're going to have so many rights and freedoms. You will be able to go where you want to go, do what you want to do. You're going to become business owners, homeowners. You're going to become the sort of people that, because of like Neil deGrasse Tyson and all that, you're going to become respected scientists. You're going to become respected performers and actors and sportsmen and all of that. Model. Like fit designers, and you got your people, because of everything you've gone through. You're going to change world history because people are going to learn from you that what happened to you can never happen again. And I need to put that into the movie, and that needs to be filmed in North Carolina. Not necessarily at that house, but in North Carolina. So this movie's going to be the voice for the dead who are stuck in places because of the sins of man, and it's going to help them cross over. And Priscilla recorded it, and she'll have it. She'll have it recorded. She's not the sort of person that would delete that sort of thing. Her mother recorded me going around doing a reading on her farm as well. I'll never forget that, because I was talking. The horses were telling me, because she had horses, Denisha and that. I loved her horses so much. They loved me too. And I was picking up stuff about the horses being used at Christmas time to pull the sleigh in the snow and blah, blah, blah. And her mother, Colleen, recorded that too. She gave me a copy, but I didn't like it because I looked so hideously fat and bloth. Body dysmorphia. But I've sorted that out now. I don't give a shit how I look on camera, but I want to be able to be confident when I'm on camera. And I hadn't lost all my weight then, and I didn't have the money to look how I wanted to look, and I was exhausted, utterly exhausted. I don't even know how I survived it, to be honest, because I was working such long hours trying to teach and put it all out there and help everyone that I was drained. The only thing that it was that one of Colleen's friends, Margaret, offered me her homestead for a week where I could just recharge my batteries and heal. She absolutely saved me. Yeah, so it was in that place that Martin wanted me to do things with other men. Over the phone so that he could listen. See? Toxic. Ugh. That's what he's got with Rocio. Who he left me for, that's what they do. They were willing to do that for him, but I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't lower myself to that standard to be a woman who was shared by her husband. But Rocio, she was happy to do it. With all the men I knew, Martin would have loved it. Martin would have wanted photos and videos, and she would have given it to him. I'm so much better than that. Just even thinking about it now, that I've risen above it all, I literally feel nauseous. I'm so pure now that I'm not a prude. Trust me, I'm not a prude, but anyway, even just thinking about it now, and that nausea is creating a glitch in my energy field that's like, don't even go there, don't even go there. That's not, don't even think like let it go, just let it go. Just focus on the movie. That's the past, you've closed the door. And when you get that feeling, that's like, that's the glitch. It creates a glitch because you're on a straight, clear, pitch perfect, pure path to go back to something like that you've closed the door on. You physically feel it. I want to be sick because it's, that's the difference between a pitch pure frequency and a low vibrational one. You feel it in your gut, your body reacts to it. So that means I've closed the door. So I'm about to get justice. God's about to clear a path for me to be able to film this movie in America. But at this point, I'm still happy to live in Switzerland. I'm at this point, I'm still happy to live in Switzerland. I can live in Switzerland and set everything up in Switzerland, but for whatever reason, this movie needs to be made in America. And that's exactly what I'll do. So that's another country to add to the list. As well as Edinburgh for my werewolf movie, Ireland for Becoming Spellbound, New Zealand for War Babies, with a little help from my friends, even though it's got Lewis in it, who'll be an actor. That's mostly going to be puppets, like The Labyrinth, so that we can film that in studio in the Fairland Productions in Switzerland. The Mary Seacole movie, we can film that in Crimea. Mountain High, Switzerland, with the Tetzelwurm. My Unorthodox, I think would be really cool to film in Russia. Because I'm thinking Italy as well. We could bring Italy in with one of my movies. So it's all there. 4 corners of the globe, all coming together for the children. But this movie needs to be made in America, and that's what I'm going to do. But I can still live in Switzerland. How exciting. So there we go. So that's it. It all finally makes sense. From 2013, technically, from when my sister died, Porcelain Rabbit, Lucian's Dragon, all of it, it's all making sense. That dream, Otesha, like all of it, it's all come together to create the gem that is, the gem, the amber diamond. Because a diamond's multifaceted. And I keep saying kaleidoscope, the multifaceted, all the characters from all the other things I've created has created the amber diamond. That's the name of her star in the Cygnus constellation. It just makes me sad because it means all those years ago, my soul knew that I was going to lose my little girl. And my dad was letting me know that I was going to lose my little girl. But from it was going to create the amber diamond, the gem, the gem, the Amber Rose School of Alchemy. So, yeah, so whoever does Otesha's voice has to be African. I hear her voice. She's got like a voice like honey. So there we go. That's my stomach growling because I'm getting hungry now. I need to break keto. So that's it. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Otesha. Oh, Amber. Right, I'm going to go. I'll speak to you later. The prophecy's coming true. Huh? Ka kite anō.